أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وحجة رب العالمين، المنتجب في الميثاق المصطفى في الضلال المطهر من كل آفة، البرية من كل عيب، المؤمل للنجاة، المرتجى للشفاعة، المفوض إليه دين الله. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخته العقيلة زينب وأخيه أبا الفضل العباس ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال إمامنا وسيدنا الإمام زين العابدين علي بن الحسين عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام: يا عمه أنت بحمد الله عالمة غير معلمة وفهمة غير مفهمة. For the hastening appearance of Imam صاحب العصر والزمان، أرواحنا وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. Loud صلوات. اللهم صل. For your well-being and the well-being of your family and the zawar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, are the louder salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The event of Ashura, the saga of the tragedy that is the greatest that the world, mankind, has ever witnessed, of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, is categorized into 3 chapters. The beginning of it with the death of Muawiyah in Rajab. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan died 15th of Rajab, and Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, upon hearing that Muawiyah has given the rule of the Ummah to his son Yazid ibn Muawiyah, Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi, here he started his revolution and his rebellion. That is the first one, with, of course, the Imam sending letters to the people of Kufa, to the governor of Mecca, to the people of Medina, to his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. And of course, the Imam made his stance very clear, firm, that a person like me will not pledge allegiance to a person like Yazid. Mithli la yubahi'u mithlah. Why are you rising against Yazid? That itself is what the Imam made it clear to his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. The Imam wrote a wasiyya to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, his brother, and he said in his wasiyya, لكي آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر. So I can do what? Enjoin good and forbid evil. وطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي محمد. اللهم صل على. To the people of Basra, the Imam also wrote, he said, ألا ترون إن السنة قد أميتت والبدعة قد أحيت. Don't you see that the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam has died? It's dying. And the bid'ah, the heresies, are taking their place. What is the sunnah? What is the sunnah? Sunnah is the way of Rasulullah, the traditions of Rasulullah, the lifestyle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. That is a sunnah. So for example, if Rasulullah drank water during nighttime, standing or sitting, or if the Prophet said a hadith, for example, the Prophet said, when you come to the days Friday, for example, the Prophet said, Friday, clip your nails, take some of the mustache, the hair from the mustache. That is the sunnah. Traditions of Rasulullah, the way of Rasulullah, the lifestyle of Rasulullah, that is the sunnah. Above all this is the salat. The salat, siyam, all of that are the sunnah of Rasulullah. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, to the people of Basra, he's saying that the sunnah is dying. And what is taking the place of the sunnah? Heresies, bid'ah. And that is why I'm rising against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So I can bring the way of my grandfather, and the Imam, the wording of the Imam is very careful. He says, the way of my grandfather and the way of my father Ali. Muhammad and Ali, because that is the right way, the right Islam. So what Imam al-Hussein did, the first chapter of the saga of Karbala, the Ashura, is that Imam al-Hussein, he revived Islam. Al-Islam Muhammadiyul Wujud wa Husayniyul Baqa. Rasulullah is the founder of Islam, Rasulullah is the prophet of Islam, but who brought back the real Islam to its real core? Imam al-Hussein, because after 50 years, exactly 50 years from the demise of Rasulullah to the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, that is 50 years gap here, 50 years you find that the religion of Islam is taking another phase. It's not recognizable anymore. You find that Yazid, who drinks, who is a drunk, Yazid was raised by his mother. And Yazid's mother was a Christian woman. Muawiyah, when he married her, they were in love, and after they had Yazid, Muawiyah saw that this woman is unfaithful, she's not right for marriage. He divorced her, and she took Yazid with him. When she took Yazid, this is just a glimpse of Yazid's life, she took him to her tribe, and of course they're Christians. For them, drinking and many other things that Muslims we find to be, against Islam traditions was very normal for them. So Yazid ibn Muawiyah, when he became the Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, just think of that. He is called Amir al-Mu'mineen of the Muslim Ummah. So what does Imam Hussein say? Imam Hussein comes and pledges his allegiance and says, I bow down to you? Definitely not. And even if that brings me to my death, I will gladly give my life to that, to revive Islam, to bring back Islam. Yazid, one night he drank until Salat al-Subh. They couldn't find him to be, taking back the mentality, becoming more senseless to go to pray. They asked him, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Salat time. Okay, take Abu Qubays. Abu Qubays was his monkey. Let him lead the prayer. They took Abu Qubays with the guards and the soldiers, and Abu Qubays he led the Muslims in prayer, and they couldn't say a word. And even today, you find many of the ulama of the Wahhabis, they come and justify his actions. One of them, this mal'oon, la'natullah alayhi, Taha al-Dalami, who is in Iraq. This mal'oon, Taha al-Dalami, comes, and you can find his speeches online, and when I see him, my blood pressure goes up. My blood starts to boil. This mal'oon comes and he justifies the killing of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi, and he says Hussein ibn Ali will be judged on the day of judgment for what he did in Karbala. And Hussein died with the sword of his own grandfather. Why? Because his grandfather said, even if the leader of the Muslim Ummah drinks publicly and he does other acts, one of them commits adultery publicly with his own mother, you have no right to say anything. But Hussein did opposite of what his grandfather was saying. And he justifies the killing of Imam al-Hussein. He justifies the killings of the companions in Waqa'at al-Harra by Muslim ibn Aqaba, la'natullah alayh, Muslim ibn Aqaba. And then he justifies the burning of Kaaba. To this extent you go to justify what this mal'oon did, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. That is the first chapter, and of course the tragedy of Karbala. The tragedy of Karbala itself, the day of Ashura, was from sunrise to sunset. sunrise to sunset. You all heard glimpses here and there what happened on that day. By sunset, everything was finished. The heads were on the spears, the tents were burnt, and now someone has to take the lead. And tonight we want to speak about this lady, Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayha. Lady Zainab, when she saw that the heads are on the spears, what they did on the day of Ashura, most of it is not mentioned because we cannot handle it. The burning of the tents, the killing of the children. Lady Zainab Salamullah alayhi, you find her coming to Imam Zain al-Abidin. And Imam Zain al-Abidin, at the time he was sick, he had a sickness that is called dryness. He can't hold anything in his stomach. And the Imam couldn't eat or drink. He was very weak, the Imam Salamullah alayhi. Lady Zainab, even though she is the aunt of Imam Zain al-Abidin, she's in her 50s, she comes to Imam Zain al-Abidin, who is in his 20s, but he's the Imam now. And she says to him, what do we do now? You tell us. You the Imam. The Imam alayhi afdalus salatu was salam looks at her and he says to his Amma, Asnadini fa asnadat. Set me up. And Lady Zainab comes and she sets him up and he says to her, Ya Amma, take some of the tent up for me. Pull it up. Let me see what's going on outside on the battlefield. And that's what she does. He looks for moments and then he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I can see the head of my father on the spear being raised. What do we do now? He says to her, and that is an order, Ya am furru fil bayda. Run. Because they are coming from every side and they are burning the tents. No, the burning of the tents started before the Imam's martyrdom. And the first time, who burned the tent? This mal'oon, Shimr bid al-Jawshan. Shimr, when the Imam was still alive, he burned the tents. He came from the other side, from the back, and he burned the tents. At the time, Abu Fadl Abbas, Ali al-Akbar, Qasim ibn al-Hassan, most of the men from the Imam's army were alive, so they came and they turned off the burnt tents. And the Imam Salamullah, when he was fighting them, the Imam said, Ya Shi'at al Abi Sufyan, you, the followers of Al Abi Sufyan, be, if you're not Muslims, okay, but be Arabs. They said, what do you mean by that? He said, I'm fighting you, so leave the woman alone. Fight with me. You are my enemy. Fight with me. While I'm still alive, leave the woman and children alone. And they said, okay, this is for you. When the Imam came into the Euphrates with his horse, Dhul Janah, and the Imam was about to drink from the water, one of the mal'oonin, one of the enemy combatants, he said to the Imam, you are enjoying water and your camp, your women are about to be taken captive and they were about to be attacked. And the Imam came out and he went and he fought. So before that, Shimr wanted to burn the tents. Shimr ibn al-Jawshan. And of course, after that, when they killed the Imam, they came from every side. This is itself is a big tragedy to find 40,000. The number of the enemy combatants, if you look in the books of history, you find the number, it starts from 30,000, it goes to 40,000. And then there is a hadith, when I read this hadith, my heart started to break into pieces. They had another 10,000 enemy soldier combatants on the border of Karbala. Why? And they wrote in the footnote, just to be safe and have backup. Just to have backup. If they need more, they will send it to them. Another 10,000 for how many? How many were the soldiers of Imam al-Hussein? Altogether, there were 72. We have the number goes up to maybe 88, 90, 100, and that's it. No more than that. It doesn't exceed 100. Some of the ulama, they say maybe 250, some say. But there is no source. Even let's say 250 in front of 40,000, another 10,000 aside on the border of Karbala, just, reinforcement. If you need it, we will send it to you. 40,000 coming from every side and burning the tent. Furru fil bayda, run, because they are burning the tents. Now, who is the leader of this camp? Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayha, the lioness. Imam Zayn al-Abidin can't do much. Here, the narration says that Shimr came to look in every tent and he found there is a young man lying down in the tent. Imam Zayn al-Abidin Ali ibn al-Hussein wa Sayyid al-Sajidin alayhi afdal salati was salam laying in the tent. He came in. With him, there was a soldier and he wanted to kill the Imam. This soldier who was accompanying Shimr, he said to him, leave him alone. We killed all their men. This is the last of them, He said, no. This is an order from Umar ibn Sa'd. He ordered us to kill every surviving man from this family. Biyut al-Zalimin, they call them. This soldier, he went running to Umar ibn Sa'd saying, Ya Umar, this guy is about to kill the remainder of this family. Did you say that? He said, no. This is a lie. Stop him. Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha came and she saw this man is about to kill Imam Zayn al-Abidin. She threw herself on Imam Zayn al-Abidin and she said, if you want to kill him, you must kill me first. What did she do? She saved the Imam Salamullah alayhi. She comes running right and left, holding this child and that child and this child, until everything was finished. It was a day like no other. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. Now this lady, what does she do? She sits in a half-burned tent, surrounded by ladies and some children. Some of the children were killed by the stampede of the horses. Some of them were burned. Some of them died from thirst. She's sitting there and she's looking right and left. And then she starts to pray. What salat? Salatul Layl. One of the things of this lady, her observation of the salat, she's weak. She starts to pray, but she is not standing. She's sitting. Imam Zayn al-Abidin calls her, Ya Amma. She doesn't answer. She's praying. Ya Amma. Again, she doesn't answer. Third time, he calls her and she says, Na'am. What is it? Ya Baqiyat al-Madin. He says, Oh Amma, I called you. Why she did not answer me? She said, I was praying, sitting down. How come? All these strategies. But she still observed the salat. Salat al-layl. Not salat al-fara'id. Salat al-layl. She's sitting down and she's praying. And the weakness was because when they brought food for the children and water for the children, it wasn't enough. So she gives her share to the ladies. She gives her share to the children. And many of the children, it is narrated, they refused to drink water that day, that night. They refused. One of the children, who was a 3-year-old, she was sitting down. They brought the water and they were showing to the children, take water. They refused. This child, this daughter of Imam al-Hussein, salamullah alayh, she saw the water and she grabbed the cup. Every one of them looked at her. What are you about to do? Why did you take the water from them? But when she took the cup, she got up from her space. She stood up and she started walking toward the battlefield. One of the soldiers came to her and he said to her, what are you doing? Where are you going? She said, I don't want the water for myself. A 3-year-old daughter of Imam al-Hussein, what do you want to do with this water? I heard my father calling out, وَحَقَّ جَبْدِي رَسُولَ اللَّهَ نَعَطْشَانِ. I want to take this water to my father Hussein. She didn't know that the Imam is martyred. But do they show defeat? Definitely not. They don't show defeat. Even though they were annihilated, they were killed, their children were severed, their men were cut into pieces, the head of the man are on the spears, even the head of Abdullah al-Radi' is on the spear, but they don't show defeat. To what extent to this, that they are about to leave Karbala the next day. And then Lady Zainab salamullah alayha, she sees Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi afdalus salati was salam sitting on the camel, and the Imam was turning right and left, left and right. She looks at him and she says to him, Mali araka tajudu binafsik, ya baqiyat al-madin. Why do I see you? You're about to surrender your soul. And then the Imam looked at her and he said, Ya Amma, don't you see the body of my father and the family of my father on the plains of Karbala, and the companions of my father being cut into pieces, and I don't have a head? This is a big tragedy. But what does she do? This is what this lady does. She is a lioness. She is now in charge of this caravan. She doesn't show defeat. She says to him, and these words are the words of promise. She says to him, ينصبون لهذا الطف علما لقبر أبيك الحسين لا يدرس أثره ولا يعفو رسمه على كرور الليالي والأيام ولا يجتهدن أئمة الكفر وأشياع الضلالة في محوه وتطميسه فلا يزداد أثره إلا ظهورا وأمره إلا علوا. You see, even though they were killed, they will come and they will build shrines on the body of these martyrs, and they will rise and rise. 1,382 years since the Imam Salamullah alayhi's martyrdom. 61 AH, now 1442. Has the message of Imam al-Hussein been wiped down? This year has been a strange year. Olympics, they had to postpone it. Expo 2020 in Dubai, they had to postpone it. Many of the gatherings and the occasions and festivities and a lot of them, they were postponed, all cancelled for next year or the year after. They said, we don't know, we can't. The only thing no one could cancel is the majalis of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi. Not just cancel them, actually they increased in numbers. They increased in numbers. If you looked at what happened in Karbala on the day of Ashura, 2020, 1442, you'll be amazed as if we don't even have Corona. People were going there and they were crying and they doing latum and they remembered Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi. Until today, Karbala is chaotic with the zawar of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi. And this is the promise of Lady Zainab, that they try, tyrants come and try to do what? The tyrants work day and night to eradicate his name, but whatever they do only increases the respect for his name. Mutawakkil Abbasi tried it, Saddam Hussein tried it, many, Rada Shah tried it, and you find throughout the history many people tried to bring down the name of Imam al-Hussein, but they just increased it. That is the second chapter, the movement of Lady Zainab. Lady Zainab was the media coverage, and what Yazid did was the biggest mistake of his life. Yazid could have killed Imam al-Hussein in Karbala, killed the woman, or just send them back to Medina. But what Yazid did was this. Yazid wanted to show his victory to everyone. So Ubaydullah ibn Yazid, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who is the governor of Basra and Kufa at the time, who was in his 20s, 27, 28 years old, he sent to Umar ibn Sa'ad a message saying, take them to every town on your way. So from Karbala to Damascus, 2,100 kilometers. And they were ordered to take them to every town. Why? To show around our victory, that we killed Hussein. And these are the women of Hussein ibn Ali. These are his wives and his sisters and his children, and these are the heads. But that was a great opportunity for Ahlul Bayt Salamullah alayhim to spread the message of Imam al-Hussein Salamullah alayhi. You killed Hussein ibn Ali, yes you did, but his message continues. His message merely just begun. And that's what Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha did. Her speech in Kufa, when she entered Kufa, and she saw the people of Kufa in that festivities, some of them. The people of Kufa, a couple of years ago, I did a whole lecture about the people of Kufa. Because the people of Kufa, not all of them were Shia of Ahlul Bayt. Some of them were Uthmani al-Madhab. Some of them were enemies of Ahlul Bayt, salamullah alayhim. Some of them were Shia. Not all of them were Shia. People of Kufa, when they entered into Kufa, some of them were happy for the killing of Imam al-Hussein. They were joyful. They were dancing. The women were dancing, and the man, they had festivities, you know, and they were giving candies around and were happy that we killed Hussein ibn Ali. But Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, when she sees all of that, فَأَوْمَأَتْ بِيَدِهَا أَنْ اسْكُتُوا فَسَكَتُوا. Be careful. Be quiet. Listen. And they were all listening. She didn't have a microphone. She enters Kufa, and they know who Zainab is. People of Kufa, they knew who Zainab is. Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, she was their teacher. She taught the woman jurisprudence and tafsir of Quran for many years when Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, was in Kufa. Imam, after the battle of Siffin, the Imam, after the battle of Jamal, the Imam Salamullah alayhi, he changed the capital of the Islamic Empire from Medina to Kufa. So the Imam went into Kufa. Lady Zainab wasn't a foreigner. They knew who exactly Lady Zainab is. So when she looks at him and she says to them, be quiet and listen to me. Wallah, after a long speech, that you killed my brother. They started to cry. It's a long speech. We go to glimpses of it. والله فابكوا كثيرا واضحكوا قليلا فلقد ذهبتم بعارها وشنارها ولن ترحضوا بغسل بعدها أبدا. Here, the people of Kufa, that triggered for them to start a revolution. After the revolution of Imam al-Hussein, the Umayyad dynasty, the lineage of Abu Sufyan was done. Lineage of Abu Sufyan. Because the Umayyads, if you go and you search online and you find, or in many of the encyclopedia books, the Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah, and Yazid ibn Muawiyah, and then Muawiyah the second, who was for a couple of months the Khalifa, that was it. That was the lineage of Abu Sufyan. After that, who came? Banu Marwan. They were Umayyads. They were from Bani Umayyah. But there was a different way. It was always problems between these two. And they found a way that now we can enter into the governments and we can take over. So that was the end of it. With what? With Lady Zainab's speech. And Lady Zainab's speech was what? To wake up their consciousness. Wake up that soul of theirs that it's dead. You killed my brother and you think it's done, it's finished. Couple of tears and you're done. Because some people think, couple of tears for Hussein and we're done. That triggered for what? That triggered for Sulaiman bin Surad al-Khuza'i to start Thawrat al-Tawwabin. The revolution of Tawwabin. And they fought bravely. And they had the idea that we must be killed for us to be cleansed. Because of what we did to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, that we betrayed him. We did not help him. That was Sulaiman bin Surad al-Khuza'i. The other revolution, the revolution of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. Who was the person who started this? Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayha. And here, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi afdalus salati was salam says to her, Ya Ammah, أنت بحمد الله عالم غير معلم وفهم غير مفهم. Because he knows that this is it. This is enough for these people. Why? If you look, even though they are the reason for Imam al-Hussein to be killed in Karbala, Ahl al-Bayt salamullah alayhim, they are not people of revenge. And they don't want for a person to have no idea of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or go after the tawbah, after being a person who is repentant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't want the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go away from their minds. They want them to always have that hope of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to give up. So he says to her, Ya Amma, it's enough, it's enough. This is enough. What you did, you woke up their consciousness, you woke up their souls, and they know what they have to do now. Thawrat al-Tawabin, Thawrat al-Mukhtar. The people of Kufa, when they looked around, what did we do? We killed Hussein. We are the reason for Imam Hussein to be martyred in Karbala. We sent him 18,000. In the book of Sheikh Baqir Sharif al-Qurayshi, he says 24,000 letters were sent to Imam Sayyid al-Shuhada Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And when Muslim ibn Aqil salamullah alayhi came into Kufa, the ambassador of Imam al-Hussein, 24,000 Kufans came and they pledged their allegiance to Muslim ibn Aqil. But they betrayed the Imam. They were threatened by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, either sword or gold. Which one do you want? Ali ibn Urwa was killed. Muslim ibn Aqil was killed. Many of the companions of Imam al-Hussein in Kufa were killed. Shuraih al-Qadi alayhi la'ainullah came out and he said, Hani is fine, don't worry about him. The tribe of Hani, there were 100,000 men. They surrounded the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Baytul Imara. They gave up and they went back to the tribe. And Ubaydullah did what he wanted to do. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he didn't go to Kufa. He didn't enter his castle. What he did was, he went outside of Kufa, and there is a town outside that this town is known for bringing in soldiers. So what he did was, he increased the payments to the soldiers by 100 dirham. If you go kill Hussein, 100 dirham will be given to you. Just imagine, killing Abu Abdullah al-Hussein for 100 dirham. And he threatened the others that if you don't bring from your tribe's men to me, if you don't do that, your tribe, the leaders of your tribe will be executed. And they brought many men. That is why it said on the 9th of Muharram, the army of Umar ibn Sa'd was completed. And they were happy. Umar ibn Sa'd was happy. Shimr was happy. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was happy. How many? 40,000 soldiers surrounding the Imam, salamullah alayhi. Now this man, he thinks, well, the caravan will come in and they will cry. But when they entered, and what he saw was the opposite of this. What Lady Zainab did, we're not showing defeat. Actually, we are the one who are victorious. You are the one who lost. She comes into the majlis of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, in the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, and he says to her, كيف رأيت صنع الله بأخيك وأهل بيتك? If you ask this question for a woman, from a man, not just a woman, if you ask this question from whoever they lost a loved one, we just had someone who died last night from our family members. If you ask the woman in our family and you tell them, sister, mother, or you ask a brother who lost a dear one, how do you feel now? They're broken. They can't function right. They don't eat, they don't drink. Even the salah is delayed. They're crying until everything goes back to normal. Maybe a month or two takes. It takes a month or two for them to go back to normal life like they had before their death, the tragedy that struck them. Lady Zainab salamullah alayha, she saw that her sons, her own sons, being killed by the army of Umar ibn Sa'd right in front of her eyes. On Abdullah, Abbas and Muhammad being killed right in front of her. And she saw the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, the martyrdom of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, the martyrdom of Abdullah al-Radi', the killing of the children by the stampede of the horses, all of that. And he says to her, كيف رأيتي صنع الله بأخيك وأهل بيتك? What he wants to do here, he wants to break her down, that what you did was a tragedy and we are done and we surrender. She says to him, فقالت العقيلة عقيلة الطالبين عليها أفضل الصلاة والسلام. What did she say? ما رأيت إلا جميلة. I did not see anything but beauty. And then she continues, هؤلاء قوم كتب الله عليهم القتل فبرزوا إلى مضاجعهم وسيجمع الله بينك وبينهم فتحاج وتخاصم فانظر لمن الفلج يا ابن مرجان يومئذ ثكلتك أمك يا ابن زياد. ثكلتك أمك means what? May your mother sit and weep for you, for your death. We are not the ones who lost the war. We do not surrender to you. That shows that this woman, Lady Zainab, the lioness, Lady Zainab, al-Masa'ib, the mother of all tragedies, she's holding all the remainder of the family of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein dear to her hearts. Even Imam Zayn al-Abidin here, again, they tried to kill him, but she says, if you want to kill him, you kill me first. He looked at Imam Zayn al-Abidin, this Ibn Marjan, Ibn Ziyad. And Ibn Marjan, Ibn Ziyad, if you look into his history, Yazid loved him so dearly. And Ibn Marjan, Ibn Ziyad, he had the idea that I should be the ruler, not Yazid. Yazid was in his 30s. Ibn Ziyad was in his 20s. There is a poem from Yazid who says in his poem that you, the one who pours me wine, come and quench my bones with the wine. And I ask for my mate, if you want to call it mate, or my friend, my dear friend to my heart, Ibn Ziyad, to be by my side, drinking and being joyful till morning. In his poems, he writes this. I quench my bones. He used to drink heavily, Yazid ibn Muawiyah, alayhi la'ainullah. I asked my friend to be by my side. Ibn Ziyad, Ibn Marjana, here she brings him to this point that you are nothing. Who are you to speak with me? Ibn Marjana, you are the son of the woman who had a flag on top of her house. That means she does all sorts of sinless acts. They don't know who your father is. Ibn Marjana, ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ, may your mother sit and weep for you. He sees Imam Zayn al-Abidin sitting and he says, who is this man? Didn't we kill all their men in Karbala on the day of Ashura? They say to him, he's Ali ibn al-Hussein. Didn't Allah kill Ali? He says, didn't Allah kill Ali? Imam Zayn al-Abidin looks at him and he says to him, I had a brother by the name of Ali, قَتَلَهُ النَّاسِ. People killed him. You have the audacity to reply back to me, get up and kill him. How could you dare talk back to me? To Imam Zayn al-Abidin he says, Ibn Marjan, Lady Zainab gets up and she throws herself on Imam Zayn al-Abidin and she says to him, Ya ibn Ziyad, if you want to kill him, kill me first. And for the Arabs, even if they don't abide to the religion and the traditions of Rasulullah, they abide to the tribal, tribe traditions. Yeah, don't kill women, they're weak, don't harm them, let them be. If you kill a woman, you can be considered as a weak man. They came to him, Ibn Ziyad, it's enough, it's a woman and you can't take into account whatever she says. Let them be, let them be. And the Imam Zayn al-Abidin is the remainder of this family. He was the last man from this family. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed it for him to be alive. So, this woman is known by her worship. Salat al-Layl, she prays it in the dead of night after all these tragedies. Her chastity, Ra'ifah. The Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in his wada, he says to the woman, he says to them, that observe your uzur, your hijab, even after all this, even after they come and they attack your tents, this man, these beasts, observe them. Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha, she observed it. And she looked around and she was observing all this. When the people of Kufa came and they saw, the people of Kufa, when they came out to look at the sabaya, the captives, they had brought with them for the children some bread and date as a snack for the children to have while they see the captives and the heads. So the children of Imam al-Hussein, they were looking at the food. They were very hungry. Some of the Kufans, the women, when they saw this, they took some bread and some date and they gave it to the children of Imam al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi. When Lady Zainab saw that and the children had started to eat, Lady Zainab, she came to them and she started putting her finger into the mouth and taking out the food and saying, As-sadaqatu haramun alayna. Sadaqah is haram on us. We are the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The woman said, who are you? We are the family of Rasulullah. We are the family of Imam al-Hussein, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Is there something you need that we can bring you? They asked these ladies. Bring us maqani' wa uzur. Bring us hijab. Like our woman can observe their hijab. So they bring it to them and they observe their hijab. And on top of that, you find that she requests from Shimr alayhi la'ainullah something. She doesn't speak with Shimr. Shimr is the one who killed Imam al-Hussein. But she says to Shimr, oh Shimr, can you do one thing for us? This man, alayhi la'ainullah, he said, what is it you want from me? She said to him, one humble request. Ask the men who are holding the spears, who have the heads on the spears, to go forward. So the men that are around looking, they get occupied from the heads. They look at the heads and they forget about us. But this La'in did the opposite of that. He asked them to bring them in between the camp of the caravan, of the ladies, for the man to look at them. And of course her patience, sabirah, all this patience. And that teaches us a lesson, especially in this time and age, when a person, as soon as he sees one tragedy strikes him, he gives up. She gives up. Why is that? That one thing that happens to us, we say to God, why me? Why is it that I'm the one who always gets these tragedies, this masa'ib, as if he's the only one? If you look at the life of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati was salam, is there more severe, more heinous crime that ever happened throughout history? Tragedy like the tragedy of Karbala, the day of Ashura? Of course not. There's nothing above this. But what they showed on that day, their patience, even the malaika, the angels, تعجبت الملائكة من صبر الحسين. When they looked at Abdullah al-Hussein and he has all this patience. He saw in front of his eyes his family members being killed, his companions killed, yet he stands there firmly. He takes his stand. مثلي لا يبايع مثله. No, I will not pledge my allegiance to Yazid. And he's standing there by himself in front of 40,000 enemy combatants, and he fights them. Abu Fadl Abbas says to some of the companions, whenever we lost some hope or we wanted to be given a boost, a push, we look at the face of Hussein ibn Ali. Just looking at his face, we know this is worth it. So this Lady Zainab, she did not give up, even though she's standing there surrounded by soldiers. Her family members are in chains. and are taken captive, paraded around from cities to city, 2,100 kilometers from one town to another, being paraded around. And the people, they look at them as, look, this is an example of a person who comes out against the Khalifa of his time. This is the head of Hussein, and this is his family. Look at this. But Lady Zainab comes in like a lioness, her head up, and she looks at the people of Kufa. Yes, you are the ones who killed my brother. Abku kathira. Cry for what you have done. You think this is it? That shows that her patience, her sabr. Even when she enters the court of Yazid, and I conclude with that. Yazid ibn Muawiyah, he prepared Sham for the arrival of the caravan of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayh. Imam Zayn al-Abidin was asked that where was the hardest to you? Where was the hardest for you throughout this journey? Was it Karbala? Was it Kufa? The Imam said to them, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. 3 times the Imam said, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. Why? He said they did 7 things in Sham they did not do in other cities. 7 things. First of all, we waited outside the city of Sham for 3 days. 3 days. Why? Because they are preparing the city of Sham for it to be ready for us to enter it as if it's a Eid, with adornments, with decorations. One of the companions, he enters and he looks at Sham and he says, is there another Eid that I don't know about? Is it Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha? No, they're all past. Which Eid is this? Because of the decoration they had. And he asked one of the people of Sham from Damascus, what is this? They said, don't you see that the sky is red and it's raining blood? This is the head of Hussein coming into the city of Sham. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin says 7 things. 1, 3 days we were waiting outside the city of Sham for them to prepare the city for us to get into. That's 1. Number 2, they paraded us from sunrise until sunset. From one alley to another alley. From sunrise to sunset. From Bab al-Sa'ad. Bab al-Sa'ad is called Bab al-Tom. Because Damascus before used to be in the hands of the Romans. And Bab al-Sa'ad, they built it for it to be the gateway of Damascus. He said that we entered Bab al-Sa'ad, later on they called it Bab al-Sa'ad. And there was a big church there when the Umayyads, they conquered Sham, Damascus, the Muslims, when they conquered Damascus, that church was turned into mosque. And that Bab, that gate, that it was called Bab al-Tom, was changed into Bab al-Sa'ad. The name was changed into that. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, that is the second thing. The Imam said, from sunrise to sunset, they were parading us around from one alley to another alley. And then they took us to an alley that were occupied by the Jews. And they called out, these are the sons of the conqueror of Khaybar, the killer of Marhab. If you want to take your revenge, come and take your revenge from them. They are the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Imam said they went up on their roofs and they started throwing at us rocks and fire. The Imam said they threw at our heads fire. The Imam said, I was sitting on a horse. In front of me was my wife, Fatima bint al-Hasan. Fatima, the daughter of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. And she was holding our son, Imam al-Baqir, alayhi afdalus salati was salam. A woman came. She was on the roof. She threw on my head a coal of fire on my head. And I was wearing a turban, but I was shackled. I was tied up So I could not take the coal off. And so what happened to me? That fire burned some of my tent, my turban, and some of my head. And the Imam said, in front of me was my wife and my child. Imam al-Baqir, one of the men, he started to hit the horse. So the horse started to jump up and down, and my wife, she was trying to hold on to her scarf and hold on to our son for him not to fall from the horse. And for me, that was the hardest thing ever. Why? Because I can't help them. I can't go forward and help them. The Imam is saying this. That was the third thing. They took us to the alleys of the Jews. The fourth, they took us to the market to sell us, to sell the woman as slaves. But Allah wanted that not to happen. For the children of Imam al-Hussein, the grandsons of Rasulullah, to be sold as slaves, that is tragedy, brothers and sisters. But Lady Zainab, you find her, she's in charge of this caravan. She's holding them steady. Be firm. Don't change your stance. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. The Imam alayhi afdalus salati was salam says that one of the things that was hurting me since Karbala, all this journey, was this. The man came to me and he started cursing me. And he said, oh man, how dare you uprise against the Khalifa of your time. Imam looked at him, and this man was cursing the Imam. But you see, the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt, salamullah alayhi, their ethics, their morals, their etiquette, their way they speak with other people. Even though this man, he was there cursing the Imam, Imam looks at him and he says to him, old man, have you recited the Quran? He said, yes. Have you recited the ayah, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. He said, yes, I have. How do you know to recite Quran? Because they thought this caravan comes from up north, from Turk and Daylam, or from Afghanistan. At the time, they were not Muslims. So they thought this caravan is not a Muslim caravan. They thought they're not Muslims. The Imam said to him, have you recited the ayah, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى? This old man said, yes, I have. But how do you know how to recite this ayah? The Imam said to him, we are that Ahlul Bayt. We are that family. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I did not ask you anything. The Prophet said to the Arabs, I do not ask you for any payments or any rewards except what? Except mawaddah, and that is love and obedience to my family, love to my kinship. We are from that family. This man said to the Imam, Sayyidi, Ya Ali ibn al-Hussein, I ask you forgiveness. Is there something you need from me? The Imam said to him, one thing I need from you. Bring me a piece of cloth. The man went and he brought the Imam a piece of clothing. The Imam said to him, put it here around the chains that it's around my neck. By God, it's been eating my skin since Karbala. So the man came forward to the Imam. He lifted that chain. The blood started gushing out since Karbala. And he placed that cloth between the chain and the skin of the Imam. Alayhi afdalus salati wassalam. They enter the court of Yazid, and Yazid is joyful. He's drinking. One of the other things that the Imam said, it was hard for us. They brought the head of my father and they placed it in front of Yazid. Yazid, in his hand, was a stick of khayzaran. He started to hit the face of my father and the lips of my father and the teeth of my father. One hadith says that he broke some of the teeth of Imam al-Hussein. Salamullah alayhi. Here, Lady Zainab, she got up. She didn't want to say anything. She wasn't thinking of talking to him, but she stands there and she said, one of the tragedies of this is that me standing in front of you, speaking with you, who are you for me to speak and address? Who are you? You are the son of Muawiyah. You are the son of the woman that wasn't faithful. You are the one who drinks. But this is what history does. This is what the days brought me to. That I come here, Zainab bint Ali, standing in front of you. And I see you not worthy of me addressing you, but I have to. She started to deliver her speech. That was the mistake of Yazid, that Yazid, when he paraded them around, he gave Zainab and Imam Zayn al-Abidin, salamullah alayhim, the podium for them to deliver the message of Imam al-Hussein. We call it what? Media coverage. Lady Zainab, she spread around the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein. And the first majlis of Imam al-Hussein was where? In the court of Yazid. The first majlis of Imam al-Hussein. That's what she said on the day of they were leaving the plains of Karbala. They try to eradicate the message of your father Hussein, the tyrants, but they can't do it. It will just grow bigger. And it will spread more and more. And that was her promise. So when she came into the court of Yazid, he comes to this point, and I conclude. She said to him, فَكِدْ كَيْدَكْ وَاسْعَ سَعْيَكْ وَنَاصِبْ جُهْدَكْ فَوَاللَّهِ لَا تَمْحُو ذِكْرَنَا وَلَا تُمِيتُ وَحْيَنَا وَلَا تُدْرِكُ أَمَدَنَا وَلَا تَرْحَضُ عَنْكَ عَارُهَا وَهَلْ رَأْيُكَ إِلَّا فَنَدْ وَأَيَّامُكَ إِلَّا عَدَدْ وَجَمْعُكَ إِلَّا بَدَدْ يوم ينادي المنادي ألا لعنة الله على الظالمين. Your days are numbered, O Yazid. Few years and you are done. And that was true. Yazid did not rule the Muslim Ummah in comfort. 3 years. That was all the time he had. And that was done. And that was the end of the Umayyad dynasty, Abu Sufyan dynasty. With Muawiyah II, who came on the minbar and he said, what my father did was wrong, what my grandfather Muawiyah I did was wrong, and what my grandfather, and that is Abu Sufyan, did was all wrong, and this is not for us. This is not worthy. We are not worthy to rule. That is because of the speech of Imam Zayn al-Abidin in the court of Yazid, and the speech of Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayha in the court of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. This is why you find that this woman, she stood firm. She continued the message of Imam al-Hussein, and from her we learn to be patient. From her we learn to be observant in our salat. And from her we learn to be obedient to our Imam. Imam al-Hussein, when he was still alive, Lady Zainab, she took her orders from her brother Imam al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Abu Abdullah. When Imam was killed, she came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Even though Imam Zayn al-Abidin is younger than her, he's her nephew, she takes her orders from Imam Zayn al-Abidin, Ali ibn al-Hussein. What do we do? Where do we go? You order us. You tell us what to do in Karbala and onward. And she was listening to every word the Imam was saying to her. But I'll tell you these, brothers and sisters, when they were about to leave Karbala, this lady was on the camel. She's not finished with her brother Imam al-Hussein. The hadith said that she threw herself from the camel and she ran toward the battlefield until she reached the body of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalu salati wassalam. body that was cut into pieces, and the body doesn't have any head. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi afdal salati was-salam says there was more than 300 wounds, stab wounds on the body of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. The companion said, how could this be a person? A body cannot bear that much stab wounds on their body. The Imam said, every stab wound on top of it, there was another stab wound. كل طعنة عليها طعنة آخر على جسد الحسين أبا عبد الله. She comes to the body and the body doesn't have any head, so she puts her hands under the body and then she says, أنت الحسين أخي، أنت حمانا، أنت رجانا، يا أخاه يا أبا عبد الله. Then she lifts some of the body and then she says, يا رب تقبل منا هذا القربان. She stands up in the direction of Medina, then she screams out loud, صلى عليك مليك السماء يا رسول الله، يا رسول الله، هذا حسينك بالعراء مقطع الأعضاء، جسد لا رأس له، وبناتك سبايا وذريتك مقتلة. يا جدي قوم، هذا حسين مذبوح على الشاطئ وعلى التربان مطروح. يا جدي قوم، ما حد وقف دونه ولا نغاير غمض لعيونه. The poem says, أجر كشتن شرا آبت ندادن. If they killed you, why didn't they give you water for you to drink before your death? أجر كشتن شرا خاكت نگردن، مگر عباس آباور نداری، مگر عباس خاکاور نداری. أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فراتي، إذا للطمت الخد فاطم عنده وأجريت دمعا عين على الوجنات. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون، والعاقبة للمتقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All together. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا يا رب الحسين. بحق الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخته العقيلة زينب وأخيه أبا الفضل العباس ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج، اللهم عجل فرجه، سهل مخرجه، اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه يا رب العالمين. الفاتحة قبل الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.